All right, perfect. So welcome everybody. Today's class is on Bakasana, crow pose. You're like, what the hell is Bakasana? Bakasana, crow pose. So it's an arm balance, yay. So there is excitement involved. But my thought with crow is that, every animal in many indigenous cultures have meaning behind them, right? It's called their animal medicine or the lessons that they seem to come along with. And crow is one of those birds that you don't think too much of, right? Because it's very common and they're typically considered to be sort of pests. They're very loud, right? They're loud birds. They're not particularly, they're not songbirds. So we tend to disregard them, right? They're not usually convenient. But the energy that they carry is one that is about structure and rules and law and what works and what doesn't work, right? So if you look at crow medicine, you're going to see a lot of that, is that the underlying fundamentals of what rules do you live your life by and what attitudes do you carry that are, your personal creed, right? Your personal rules. So crow, in my mind, is when you're setting up an arm balance, is exactly that, is that if you set up the foundation of it very well, then the pose itself becomes effortless. And the same thing is true for our lives, is that if your inner foundations, right, your rules by which you live by, not to be restrictive, but you're steady, right? You're steady in those principles that you live by. You're steady in those ways of living that help to define your lifestyle, is that much in your life becomes much more effortless, right? Because you're not always wondering, who am I supposed to be or how am I supposed to act? Because you have this inner sense of, this is what's true for me, this is what's real for me, right? So arm balancing helps us come into that sort of focused understanding, is that if I set myself up well, the pose that looks like it can be incredibly challenging becomes much more effortless, right? And this is what yoga does for our lives. It helps us to organize our energy, helps us to organize our mind in a way so that the rest of your life experiences become more effortless, right? That's where we have that innate sense of joy or the innate sense of bliss that says that arises because we're not trying so hard moment by moment. And we learn to do that by understanding these are the principles by which I set myself up, right? And then I let go. So comfortable seat, if you're not there already. Let the eyes close for a moment. And just that sort of combination of things is that I set myself up well, the inhale, the rise, and then the exhale is the fall. Number one fear, the number one thing that gets in the way of arm balancing is the fear that we're going to fall. So start to let yourself breathe in completely into the back of your shoulders, especially. So breathe into the back body. And then exhale, practice letting the exhale be a real release. So maybe a ha as you let the breath go. You inhale completely into the back of the shoulder blades, into the back of the rib cage, and then an exhale. Good. And then one more like that, breathing all the way in. At the end of this last exhale, as you exhale, feel the navel pull in and up at the end. Good. And then do that again, inhale fully. And as you exhale, you let the breath go powerfully. And at the end of the exhale, feel your navel pull in and up, just a hug towards your spine, squeeze. And then last time like that, inhaling into the back of your shoulder blades, and then exhale powerfully and feel the navel draw in and up. Good. And then let your breath return to an easy, steady flow. That little bit of attention on the breath, when you release the attention, the breath seems more effortless. This is practice. As we place our attention very clearly, very focused, and then when we let go, everything feels more effortless. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. And we'll open with the sound of Om. Take a deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. So stay seated, bring your hands to your knees or your thighs. Please do a little bit of cat and cow, inhaling, lifting the chest forward, exhaling, curling and rounding, using the hands at the front of the knees as like an anchor. So as you inhale, you bend the elbows, lifting the chest higher. And as you exhale, you keep the arms there straight and let yourself drop back into your ribs, using the hands to hold you. And then inhale again, use the energy of the arms pulling into the shoulder socket to lift your chest. And then exhale, round into the back of the ribs, rounding through the shoulders, using the hands as support. Keep going, a couple more breaths like that. But have this sensation that you are moving your ribs and your arms together, right? That the ribs move forward as the arms pull back. And as your ribs move back, you're bringing the arms forward so that you can feel the difference of when your arms are really connected into the shoulders, into the chest, and when they're pulling away. Good. Nice, you guys. And then start to add into this motion a little bit of a circling of your torso. So that might look like you're rotating, inhaling, taking the chest forward into that rotation. And then as you exhale, leaning back, rounding into your ribs. And then again, as you inhale, taking the chest forward and up, and exhaling, rounding back into the ribs. This is again, just to get into the feeling of breathing into the whole upper back. Good. And then maybe turn your rotation the other direction so that you start to rotate the other way, bringing the chest forward, rounding into the back ribs. Good. Maybe pausing at points where you're like, oh, there's a tight spot. And let yourself find that. Don't rush past it, but actually look for it. Where is there the need for there to be more space? Good. Nice. And then come back to stillness, please. Switch the cross of your ankles if you're sitting cross-legged. So just switch your legs. Good. And then stretch your arms out wide. Do a little bit of arm circles. Palms can be facing down here and just little circles, but strong arms. Good. Faster little circles. There you go. Because again, I want you to feel that it requires a little bit of warming up the shoulders. Nice. Now make your circles big. They don't have to be as fast, but make them big. Good. And then move them the other direction, big. Nice. Good. Again, opening up the chest, right? We think of crow as being something that's a lot about our shoulders, but really it's a lot of chest energy, chest muscles, upper back, and abdominals. Good. Now still going backwards or whatever your second position is or second direction, little circles. Good. Keep your chest up here, everybody. Sit tall. Nice. Good. Faster circles. Yeah, don't let your whole body wiggle. Just move the arms. Good. And then pause, stretching the arms out like you're in warrior two. And as you stretch out through your fingers, pull those shoulders towards the back of your heart. Pull the arm bones in. Nice. And then take right arm in front of left or on top of left in front of your chest. Wrap the forearms, eagle arms, Bakasana. Good. And then inhale, lift the elbows a little higher. Don't grip the hands. And as you exhale, start to curl in. Draw your elbows in towards your belly. Bow forward. Good. Keep that feeling as you round that you're pulling your armpits up and back. Drop the shoulders wide away from your ears. Good. But stay rounded and pull up and back through the ribs. Good. And then inhale, come back up to center. Do that one more time. Lift the elbows a little higher. Good. And then as you exhale, bring the elbows down and in. And as you round, armpits pull up and back, shoulders away from the ears, lift through the back of your throat, but your chin is dropped. Good. And then come all the way back up to center. Stretch your arms out wide. Again, that feeling of stretching out through your fingertips like warrior two, but then plug the arms in. Feel that squeeze into the back of your heart. Good. And then left arm comes over top of right in front of the chest or whatever the opposite arm is for you. And then press the forearms together, eagle arms. Good. Inhaling, lifting the elbows slightly higher. And then exhaling, bowing in, drawing the elbows in towards your belly, round your back like a cat. Good. Pull your armpits up and back. Nice. Shoulders away from the ears. Good. Come all the way back up to center, please. Inhale, lift the elbows a little higher again, keeping your throat nice and long. And then bring the elbows down and in again, round the back. Again, pull those armpits up and back. So you're not leaning forward so much as you are pulling back through your spine. Pull back through your belly. And then come all the way back up. Good. Stretch the arms out wide one more time. Like that warrior two position, stretch out through your fingertips. So you're pulling the arms away, but then pull the tops of the arm bones in. Good. And then stretch the arms up to the sky like you're hugging a block between your hands. Get super tall. Nice. And then exhale, release the hands out and down. Roll forward onto hands and knees and go into crow. I'm kidding. Onto hands and knees, please. Just go for it. Downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Good. Let your hands get a little wider in your downward facing dog. Yep. Nice. Let your knees soften just a little bit. Good. As your knees soften, scoop into the low part of your belly. So try and lift your hip points up off of your thighs, and then send the tops of your thighs back. And now lift the back of your throat. Look towards the tips of your fingers, even if it's just a little bit. You might not be able to look all the way forward, but look slightly forward. Good. And then bend your elbows wide just a little bit. Good. And pull those arm bones up and in towards the center of your chest. Good. Pull your low rib cage in. Nice. Now press into your hands. Again, push the floor away. Hips go nice and high. Drop the head. Nice. And then right foot steps forward between the hands. Lunge. Good. Inhale the arms up to the sky. High lunge. Nice, you guys. Deep breath in. Good. And then take your arms out wide. Cactus arms, please. Elbows wide. Spin those elbows slightly forward. Pull the palms back and then lift your chest higher. Good. And then start to twist towards that front leg. So turning towards the right, turn your belly. Good. And then bring that left forearm onto your right thigh. Please take your right arm over the ear, reaching on the diagonal. Good. So it's like a little twisting side angle. Kick your back thigh a little higher. Good. Keep your right butt cheek drawing in towards the midline of your mat. So push your left hip wide, back hip wide. Good. And then keep reaching through that right arm. Keep the twist, but just lift your left arm up off of your thigh and keep reaching through that left hand. So you're still twisting. Good. Nice. And then come all the way back up to high lunge. Inhale the arms up. Should have just gone into crow. You'd be done. Release the hands down to the floor. Nice, you guys. Drop that back knee, please. Start to circle that front hip. So take both hands inside the front knee. Move the hip. Good. So what also is going to be a contributing factor to whether crow feels easy or not is your hip openness. Right? So the ability to get that knee up towards the shoulder and squeeze, right? Inner thigh strength. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Knee over the ankle. Bring your right shoulder right inside that right knee and slide the hand behind the heel to the baby toe side of your foot. So you're wrapping your forearm around the back of your calf. Good. And then you can be up on fingertips if you need, or hands flat. Good. Start to lift your chest forward and up. So you're pushing the forearm into the back of your calf, and then try to pull your hips back in space. So you're pushing forward, lengthening through the front of your chest. And again, I want you to focus on your chest widening. Pull those arm bones up and in towards the center of your back. Good. And now you feel your heel pressing down, move your hips back in space, and now lift your back knee. Good. And really pull back through that back heel. Feel your hips lifting up and back, but your chest is lifting forward and up. Good. You feel the conflict within you, right? Star Wars quote. So you want to feel that and know that that's a feeling of your back having to work, right? So kick that back thigh higher, feel the low rib cage draw in, lift and widen your chest. Good. Notice how you had to look forward to do that. Excellent. And then unwind the arm, please. Good. Step back to downward facing dog. Nice, you guys. Come forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Good. Drop your knees down to the floor. Good. Take your shoulders towards the tips of your fingers. So lean your weight forward a little bit more so your hips are in front of your knees. A chaturanga push-up. So as you start to bend your elbows to face back, drop your chest towards the floor. Pause, parallel to the floor, elbows parallel. Good. And then press yourself back up. So you got to feel that squeeze behind your heart. Good. Same thing. Lower down halfway, pause, hover above the floor. Feel that squeeze of your shoulder blades. Pull your ribs in and push the floor away from your chest. There you go. One more time. Lower down. Good. Notice the dip in your lower back. Don't pretend it isn't there. Pull your low belly in, hovering. Good. Feel that squeeze of the upper arms. Push the floor away. Excellent. Child's pose. Knees wide. There is such a thing as conditioning your shoulders, right? There is such a thing as creating strength and stability. You know, so when people say, oh, I can't do an arm balance, I'm not strong enough. My shoulders aren't strong enough. Usually not the case. What may be the case is that your shoulders might not be flexible enough. Your back might not be open enough. Your hips might not be open enough to make the position comfortable. Your wrists might not feel like they have the strength that they need because there has to be more shoulder awakeness, right? Or more abdominal awakeness. So how you set up this pose is huge for how it feels. And a lot of the setup is not pushing down into your arms. It's learning to rise up, lift up from your chest and from your belly. The legs hold you in this pose. Your belly holds you in this pose. Your arms just happen to be what is touching the floor. Downward facing dog. And I like crow because it is the foundation, right, for pretty much every other arm balance there is. If you master crow, you've mastered all of them. Everything else is just variations of the legs, right? Good. Left foot steps forward between the hands. Good. Inhale, both arms to the sky, high lunge. Nice. Good. And make it a real active lunge. So the front knee is over the front ankle. You're pressing down through that heel. Good. Nice, Joy. Take the arms out wide. Cactus arms, fingers pointing straight ahead. Again, spin your elbows slightly forward as though you're trying to actually hollow your armpits. Good. And then start to twist towards that front leg. So turn to the left. Good. And then bring that right forearm onto the front thigh. Take the left arm over the ear, reaching on the diagonal. Nice. Bring your back thigh higher so you actually get more powerful in the back leg. Press out through that back heel so your hips are not coming forward more. You're actually pressing back. Good. And then keep that left arm extended. Take the right arm off of your thigh, but stay twisted. Good. And keep reaching that right arm straight forward from your chest. So you're still reaching and twisting, and pull your left butt cheek in towards the midline. That's it. And then unwind the arms, both arms to the sky, high lunge. Hua. I know. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good. Both hands inside the front foot. Drop the back knee, circles with that left hip. So core stability, right? I'm talking about your navel holding you in crow. Is that I could have you do abdominal exercises, crunches for half the class and say, okay, your core is warmed up. But the core in crow is not just your belly, it's the link between your abdominals and your thighs, right? It's the link between your abdominals and your back muscles. So you work the core whole body, and it has a better understanding in crow. If you just do crunches, you might say, okay, I can do 1,000,000 crunches really well, but I don't know how to use those muscles when I'm trying to balance. Come back to stillness, please. Knee over the ankle. Left shoulder comes right inside that knee. Slide the left hand behind the heel. So you're wrapping your left forearm around your calf. Good. And then you're pressing into the hands. Lift your chest forward and up. Good. And as you lift and widen your chest, you're pulling the arm bones up and in. Yep. And you're feeling those shoulder blades start to draw together on the back. So it's not a squeeze behind the upper back, but it's the bottom tips of the shoulder blades pulling towards each other like you're trying to make the point of a triangle. Good. And then tuck your back toes and lift your back knee. Maintain that chest. So chest up, arms up and in, and then pull the hips back in space. So everything of the lower body is moving backwards. Good. And you feel how, right? You have to hollow through your low belly. Your thighs are working with your core here. And if they're not, this pose feels a lot harder than it needs to. Good. One more breath, hips back. Yeah, and then unwind the arm, please. Nice job. Step back to downward facing dog. Hua. Good. Slide forward, plank pose. Here we go. Drop the knees down towards the floor. So a modified plank. Hips are forward of the knees. So your tops of your shoulders should be close to the tips of your fingers. You're moving your chest forward. Good. Bend the elbows, lower down halfway. Pause. Good. You should still have those tips of the shoulders towards the tips of your fingers. Move your chest forward. And then from your low ribs, press the floor away. Feel your ribs pull in so your back gets super strong. Nice. And then lower down again. Pause. Watch that dip of the low ribs. Pull in and up from below your belly button. And then push the floor away from your chest. Nice. And then one more time, lower down. Pause, move your shoulders forward. If your elbows are not in a straight line with your wrist, you've got a problem. And then push the floor away. Nice. And then come back child's pose, give the arms a rest. Good. It's another trick, right? When you are setting up the pose, if you don't come forward enough with your shoulders, then you have no counterbalance for your body weight. If you don't come forward enough, you are guaranteed that you will keep falling back onto your feet. If you come forward too much and you're not looking where you're going and there's nothing that's sustaining you with your legs, is you are pretty much guaranteed that you will fall forward onto your face. So we call it balance because we have to have an awareness of being in the middle, right? And part of that is basic, architecture. You want that 90-degree angle with your elbow to your wrist to your shoulder. Anything more or less than that is going to be way more work and maybe impossible. Good. Take one more breath. And walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Good. Take your right arm out wide to the right. Nice, easy one. Right arm out wide to the right. Slide behind your left wrist. Right shoulder comes to the floor. Thread the needle.
Some people would think.
I know, that's true. Some people do not find this pose easy. There are days that I don't find this pose easy. Depends on what's going on. Good. Walking that left arm forward any amount. Again, part of what's nice here is that as you are in this twist, it's the same twist that you just did in the high lunge. Same twist. Is draw your rib cage in and again, get full in that back body. So as you draw the front body in, gets firm, the front body gets firm. You feel the pressure in the back body and then send your breath into that. Good. If you don't breathe when you are in a balancing pose, whether it's standing or inverted or on your arms, is you become heavier. Don't make the pose more difficult. Good. And then unwind yourself, please. Come back to hands and knees. And then go the other way. Take your left arm out and wide. Slide behind the right wrist. Left shoulder finds the floor. Good, Sarah. Move your shoulder forward a little bit more. There you go. And then take the right arm towards the top of your mat, any amount. Good. Make sure you have equal weight on both shins. Good. So you're not letting all of your weight fall onto the right leg. Good. Sakina, just scoot your hips a little bit to the left. Other way. There you go. There you go. And again, I want you to make the front of the body firm. So you're drawing the ribs in. And then as the front of the body gets more engaged, you're breathing your breath deeper into the back of the body where there's that feeling of maybe a little bit more pressure. So this is some of those sensations that when we are balancing, it can feel so odd. How do I breathe in this pose? So you practice it here. My navel is engaged, my core is engaged. This is what it feels like to breathe while my core is engaged. So it's not foreign when you're facing the floor. So I can't quite help but think of crows and, from Disney's movie, the Dumbo movie, right? The crows are the one that convinced Dumbo that he's able to fly. And at first it's a joke, right? Magic feather comes from a crow. Oh, sure, elephants can fly. It's whatever you're afraid of, whether you're afraid of failing or you're afraid of succeeding. It's how you set yourself up, creates your experience. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Good. Downward facing dog. Nice. Take your right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good, and then bring that knee forward towards your nose, squeeze it in, and then try and touch your right elbow. Yep, right knee to right elbow. Good, and then take it up and back behind you. Good, and then bring it forward again, touch that knee towards the elbow. Yep, make it touch, and then bring it all the way back and up behind you. And then one more time, bring it forward, touch above the elbow. So wherever you can touch, try to take it higher. Good. And then take it all the way up and back behind you, down dog split. Nice. And then bring the knee forward again, not touching the elbow, just straight forward. Look forward beyond your fingertips, and then step that right foot between the hands. Good. Nice. Drop the back heel. 45 degrees, please, for warrior one. So step your left foot a little wider to the left if you need. Inhale the arms up to the sky, warrior one. The hips are facing straight ahead. Good, back toes are turned more forward than they are to the side. Beautiful. Good, you guys. And again, with the arms overhead, like you're hugging a block between your hands, squeeze. Good. And then as you pull up through your fingertips, pull up through your side waist. Nice. And then draw those arm bones down and in, but press up through the top of your head. Beautiful. One more full breath. Turn that left hip forward. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Spin your back heel up. Good. Both hands inside the front foot. Lengthen your lunge if you need to, because sometimes we're a little short from a warrior one. So you can slide that left leg back if you need. And then come onto the baby toe of that front foot. So flex the foot, drop the right knee wide. Good. So an open hip. If you need to drop the back knee to let that happen, go ahead and drop the back knee to the floor, but let that right hip open. Good. Scooping through your low belly. Send your pelvis forward just a little bit more. Draw those arm bones up and in towards the chest. Beautiful. Nice, you guys. Plant that right foot flat again, please. Lift the back knee. Good. Hands to the floor, right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Bend the knee, take your heel in towards your butt. Stack the right hip on top of the left. Nice. Open side body. Pull the arm bones up and in towards the center of your back. Again, those lower tips of the shoulder blades, like they're coming together to make a tip of the triangle. Good. Point that right knee down to the floor, please. And then bring that right knee forward in wide pigeon pose. We're just going straight for it. Let that left leg start to slide back any amount. Again, setting the pelvis, same way you did in warrior one. Back hip spins forward. Good. Active front foot. And then let yourself walk forward onto your forearms, elbows, blocks, whatever you'd like. Breathe deeply. Good. Balancing in an arm balance especially, and you see this in inversions too, is that there's a point of risk where if you want to balance, you have to go to a point where you could fall. If you never get to the point where you could fall, there's no possibility that you will balance. And so some of this idea of what we consider to be a law or a rule, right? Laws of aerodynamics, laws of architecture, laws of, you know, all sorts of things. Those are things that we don't get to argue about. It's not an opinion. It's not a feeling that I'm comfortable here, therefore the pose should work here. It says, no, this is the alignment that allows you to be in this position. So it's up to you to become comfortable, to become familiar, to become aware of that alignment. And that practice for us is a great one, is to come out of that state that says that we can always rearrange the world into a way that we are comfortable, or what we think is comfortable. We can always find ourselves in a state of ease. That's the practice of yoga. But it doesn't mean that we reorganize things around our comfort. Take one more breath. And then walk yourself back up onto your hands, still in pigeon. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and just pause. Right? Again, fingertips to the floor. Good. Pressing into your hands, maybe even take the hands flat. So like you're about to transition. So press down into your hands. Back knee is lifted. Good. Feel that sensation of pulling back on your hips, but pulling the arms up into the center of your chest. Good. Now that back thigh is lifted, press into your hands. Hover that right shin up off the floor. Yeah. Notice how you had to pull up through your low belly, through your low ribs. Beautiful. Take that right leg up and back. Down dog split. Excellent. If you can do that, you can do crow. Release that foot down to the floor, please. Good. Vinyasa if you choose, or take a child's pose. The vinyasa is sliding forward to plank pose, lowering down to your belly, or chaturanga, coming forward into cobra or upward facing dog if that's where you're at. Nice, Dina. And then come back to downward facing dog as you are ready. Yeah. You got a whole nother side to do. Excitement. Left leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Bring that knee forward towards your nose, armpits over your wrist, and then touch that knee to your elbow. Good. And then take that leg higher, up and back behind you, down dog split. Good, staying light, come forward, pulling your arm bones up and into the shoulder, push down into the floor to lift up, touch the elbow to the knee, and then come up and back. Good, so third time, you're gonna try and take it higher than your elbow. So bring that knee forward, really get into that pull up of the back thigh, into your low belly, touch that knee higher than your elbow, push into the floor to lift your shoulders higher. Yes, there it is, Dana. And then take that leg up and back behind you. Excellent, you guys. Good, and then step that left foot forward between the hands, hover, and then step the foot all the way between the hands, please. Left foot between the hands, lunge. I know you're getting ahead of me, Joanne. Drop the back heel for warrior one. Step your right foot wider to the right. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Or maybe I changed my order, it's possible too. We'll get to it. Good. Let your pelvis turn forward. That's initiated from the back hip. So the right hip spins forward to let your left hip go wider. And then like you're hugging a block between the hands. So you have this sensation of the arms being really awake and there being that almost a feeling of squeezing the lower armpits, of squeezing the shoulder blades together. Good. So again, it's not a pinch, but it's a drawing the bottom tips of the shoulder blades down as you lift your chest up. I know if you're bored in warrior one, pay attention to your arms. Good. Really read that heel mark, you got it. That's it. Nice, you guys. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Spin your back heel up. Lengthen your lunge if you need to. Both hands come inside the front foot. And then you're flexing your left toes, come onto the baby toe of that foot, so letting the knee go wide. Good. Again, you can drop the back knee here if you need. But if the knee is staying lifted, keep it lifted. Left knee falls wide, like it's a modified pigeon type of lunge. Keep your arms pulling up into your shoulders, chest open wide. This is huge, right? If we think that crow is hunching the shoulders, is we're gonna lose all of the power of our back. We're gonna lose the power of our chest. And that's what really holds you in the pose. Good. One more breath, you guys. Nice. Bring that left foot back to flat, please. Good, and then take that left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Bend the knee, take your heel in towards your butt, stack the left hip on top of the right, open. Yep, beautiful. Keep pressing into the hands equally, drawing the arm bones up and in, so don't collapse because you've got your hips rotated. Good, point the knee towards the floor, please, and then take that left knee forward and wide for pigeons. The knee goes towards your left wrist, place the shin. Good. Again, hip points facing straight ahead. So you find that alignment. Good. Again, not about orienting the pose around what's comfortable for you, but finding the alignment and then finding what allows you to be at ease. So hips facing straight ahead. And then go ahead and let yourself come forward onto your elbows, forearms, blocks. Nice. And we talk about this architecture of a arm balance. You're really working with the architecture of your own body, right? What you're working with is how to align your bones, how to stack your skeleton, how to align your muscles so that what needs to be working is working all coordinated. And again, if this is something that we do on a regular basis, we have that understanding is that these things will happen automatically while you're going about your life. And suddenly you have a more stable spine, you have more stable joints. So there's more freedom, right? Your joints can do more without you having to think about it. Your body's capable of succeeding in things that, you thought maybe would be impossible. So when the yogis say, or when it's said that we've lost the wisdom of our own bodies, this is partially what it is that we've lost the understanding of how to use the architecture of our body. And some people are, maybe you could say, luckier because they have more of an innate willingness to experiment. They're willing to fall. So they figure it out maybe a little faster. I usually joke and say that falling is a prerequisite. You have to fall out of crow at least once. But only because it's by getting to that point of falling that you start to understand how much is too much and how much is too little. So mistakes in your life is the same thing. You learn how much is too much and how little is too little. So the hips are a big part. The hips have to be flexible, but the inner thighs have to be strong. Outer hips have to be strong. The shoulders have to have some flexibility, but the back and the abdominals have to be very strong. So the hardest thing in crow is not just the positioning of getting your shoulders forward enough so that your elbows are in good architecture, but in knowing how to lift enough through your hips so that your shoulders are not bearing that weight. So that's why I say if you can do that transition coming from the floor and you can push the floor away and pull your hips up from that pigeon position into a hovering lunge and then all the way back and up to down dog, is if you can do that, you have the strength to hold crow. You have the muscular ability to do crow. It's just convincing yourself to do it. Take one more breath. And walk yourself back up onto your hands. So pausing with the hands underneath the shoulders, pressing down. Tuck your back toes, just lift the back knee. So again, you're stretching through the front of that back thigh. Good. And as you press into your hands, you're pulling your arm bones up and in. Yeah. And then as you press into your hands and you press into that back foot, you feel your pelvis lift, hover that left shin up off the floor. So it's like you're still in pigeon, but you're hovering. Nice. That's the feeling of crow right there, right? Feel your hips lift a little higher. There you go. Even more crow. Feel your hips lift a little higher. Even more crow. That's it. And then take the left leg up and back, down dog split. Crow is not any harder than that. And then release the foot to the floor, please. Good. Step your right foot forward between the hands before you collapse. Walk to the inside of that front foot and walk to your left. Come to the center of your mat. Prasarita Padottanasana, wide legs. I know. Maybe it's not child's pose, but it's good. Again, opportunity, this position is a great one. We use it a lot because it helps to open outer hips, outer thighs, groins, all things that have to be very available if you're going to come into crow, right? Because you do ideally want your knees to come not just onto the shelf of your arms, but ideally they should be hovering up towards your shoulders. They shouldn't even be touching your arms or they shouldn't be resting on your arms in a full crow. Deep breaths. Let your spine lengthen. Feel your inner thighs pressing wide. Good. And then walk your hands underneath your shoulders, please. Plant the right hand, take your left arm up to the sky, twist. Again, with this feeling of pushing down into the right hand to lift your left shoulder higher. So push down into the floor and feel your chest open more. And then feel as though you're squeezing your arms towards the center of your back. One hand is on the floor, the other one's in the air, but you're squeezing them both towards the center of your back. That's it. Nice. And then release and switch. Left hand down, right arm up. Good. Same thing. Left inner thigh pulls wide. Don't let the hips sway open to the right. Pull them wide to the left. Good. Push into that left hand. By pushing down, feel your chest open more. Reach through those right fingertips. And then feel the tops of the arms pull in towards the center of your back. Good. As the arms pull in, you can still extend through your fingertips. Nice. And then release that hand down to the floor. Beautiful. Walk back towards the top of your mat, please. Spin that heel, back heel up. And then step forward top of your mat. Good. Bend your knees, please. Drop your seat for chair. Take the arms up alongside your ears. And then hands to heart center, please. Prayer twist, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Yep, back to my twisting to the left first. For a while, I was doing the right first. Now we're back to the left. Good. Feel yourself drawing your hips up and back. round into your low back a little bit more, into your low belly, and then press that elbow against the knee, firm the front of your body, pull the front of the body into the back body, open that left shoulder, the same way you just did the twist, do that here, push into your hands, draw your arm bones in, but chest open. Good, come back to center, release the hands to the floor, straighten your legs, you're welcome. Right, but you see the combination here, right? Is that it's the same twist, right? It's the same dynamic of the arms into the chest, into the back is what you just did with your legs wide. That's what I want you to try and find, is that connection. So bend your knees again, drop back into chair, take the arms up. Good, hands to heart center, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Good. So again, curl your belly away from your thighs here. So again, we're practicing that crow position here. So now your legs have to do a little bit more work. And then as you push your hands together, firm, good, draw those arm bones into the center of your back. And as you push that elbow against your knee, feel the rotation of the ribs, but also that lift through your chest. Chest opens. Hug those arm bones in. Nice. Curl your low belly, drop your hips. Yep, that's a true crow position there. And then come back to center, please. Release the hands to the floor, straighten the legs and bow. Yeah. You'll see often that when we start in crow, we encourage the butt to go very high in the balance. We say, take your butt as high as you need it to go so that you just find what it feels like to balance. But crow, ultimately, we want the knees to be up towards the armpits, high up on the shelf of the arms. And then eventually, instead of the butt being high, we start to drop the butt low, level to the floor. So almost like you just did in chair. Good. Separate your, don't separate your feet actually. Bring the bottoms, bring your big toes and heels together. That part of your feet. And then come up on your tippy toes, use blocks underneath your hands if you need. It's not crow yet, don't worry. And then bend your knees wide into a little frog squat. Drop your hips down towards your heels. And then start to press your heels down towards the floor. So you're in that little frog squat, soften your heels like they're gonna come flat. So just stretch the ankles. Walk your hands forward so your shoulders drop inside your knees. Good. Yep, hands gonna be as far forward as you want. Good. Now round your back like a cat. Let your heels drop towards the floor, but round your back like crazy. Good. From the lowest part of your belly, round your back. Good. And now try and squeeze your knees towards your outer ribs. Yep, that's it. Squeeze your knees, round your back. Again, this is practicing the position of crow. Nice. Now lift your chest up, look forward, and keep squeezing your knees and keep rounding your back. Squeezing them inward towards your ribs. That's it. And round your back. And look slightly forward. Beautiful. Good. Walk your hands back. Come on down to sit on your butt. I know you're like, we never hold that position so long because it's a teaching moment. Bottoms of your feet together, please. Bakasana. And I never say this, but go ahead and flutter your knees, lift them up and drop them down. Why do we not say this? Because it's not really a useful action unless you're doing it very consciously, right? So don't just flap your legs, but actually feel like you are drawing the knees together and you're pressing the knees apart, and draw the knees together and press the knees apart, right? You started flapping, I know. This is why we usually don't say it. Good. And then let the legs just come to stillness, please. Pressing the baby toe edges of your feet down into the floor. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Good. And then keeping your sit bones pressing down, start to hinge forward from the top of your pelvis. Start to lean forward. Keep your arms alongside your ears. I know, arms up, Beth. There you go. And then pull through the front of your chest. Pull forward and up and press your butt back. And now draw your low rib cage in again, firm, front of the body. Good. Now feel a little bit of a squeeze of your knees up and in. Press into the baby toe edges of your feet. Keep reaching forward. Keep reaching forward from your chest, from your chest, from your chest, from your chest. Good. Let the hands touch down, fall into your forward fold. Let the legs relax. Good. Maybe keep your feet awake, but let go of the squeeze of the knees. Beautiful. I know we got one more hip squatting variation. So enjoy this. One more breath. Good. And then walk yourself back up, please. This time you're going to come up on your heels and separate your feet as wide as your mat. So it's almost like you are sitting in a squatting position. So your butt is on the floor, feet out in front of you, knees bent up on your heels. So separate your feet as wide as your mat and up on your heels. So feet flexed, toes up. So literally like if you were doing squat, but you are seated on your butt. Good. Walk your heels in a little closer towards your butt. So it's like a true squat position. Yeah, feet a little wider, Dana, I would say. There you go. Yeah, make sure you can still balance on your sit bones. And then your hands are in front of you. So again, with your legs in this position, take that right elbow, right forearm up against your right shin. Take your left arm up to the sky. And as you push wide with the arm, press in with your shin or press in with the thigh. So the thigh angled in, and then try and push your right butt cheek wide at the same time. Good. Don't let your toes fall open anymore. Nice. Good. Release and switch. Left arm inside left shin. And again, you're pressing wide and hugging in. Right arm to the sky. And remember, as you push down into one hand and you reach through the other, is you're squeezing the arms into the center of the chest and opening the chest. Nice. Awesome, you guys. Good. Throat back, Beth. Nice, Joy. Nice, Joanne. Good. Release, please, back to center. Don't let the legs go. Walk yourself straight forward again. Hands between the legs. Good. Keep walking your hands forward. Good. Press down into your heels and drag back. Nice. And then round your back again. So press into those fingertips and try and from below your belly, pull back into that cat position. Good. And now stay rounded, but lift your gaze towards the tips of your fingers. Pull those arm bones back and in. Again, shoulder blades, bottom tips come together. Yep. Round, round, round. And you feel your navel drawing in to support that. So front of the body firms. Good. Squeeze those knees towards your armpits. That's it. And then release, please stretch your legs out to straight, as wide as your mat. Good. Reach forward for your ankles or your feet, whatever you can comfortably touch. Deep breath in with straight arms, long spine. And then exhale, bend your elbows wide, pull yourself into that forward fold. Good. Maybe keeping the heels down and dragging back so that you keep that sensation of really working through the pelvis as you open the hamstrings. So your sit bones press back. Instead of locking through your knees, you pull your butt back. Nice. And then even here, can you feel that sensation of the arms pulling in towards the center of your back? So you lift your chest slightly. And you feel that connection of the arm bones into the shoulders and the shoulder blades into the middle back. Good. And then slowly release, please. Walk yourself all the way back up. Beautiful. Cross the ankles, roll forward to hands and knees. Good. Take a down dog just so that you can pedal your feet. Stretch out through the thighs, through the back. Good. And then again, walk or jump your feet to the top of your mat. I was almost graceful. Good. And then grab a block if you have one. Good. Place the block on its flat setting. Good. In front of you. Actually move it back if you're on your mat. So move it back so that you can stand on your block and you're not staring at ground. You should be staring at your mat. So move back on your mat a little bit more. Move your block back on your mat. Good. And you're going to take both feet up onto the block. So you're standing on the block, both feet, all the way on the block, all the way. Yep. And then you're coming into a little squat position. So that same position that you just did with your big toes together, I want you to bend your knees wide, drop into that little squat, let your hands come to the floor, but your feet are on the block. Knees are wider than your arms. So knees go wide.
Have we been on our toes?
Yep, you want to be on your toes. So it's like that same position we just did, on your toes on the block. And bend your knees wide like a little frog. Yep, heels are going to hang off the block, hands to the floor in front of you. Good. So you don't have to go from a standing position to do this, right? You could have come into that squat from lower to the ground. Good. Hands find the floor. So the purpose of the block, right, is to give you lift, to give you elevation to your hips. So you don't have to go as far to find the forward action of your shoulders. So your feet are not leaving the block yet, but you're planting your hands, let them come flat to the floor. Good. As wide as you would for a down dog. So move your hands wider. Mark hands wider. Good. Dana, maybe it's a little bit wider, but I think you're okay there. Good. And now you're going to bend your elbows and you're going to lean your weight forward. Lift your butt. As you lean your weight forward, you lift your butt and bend your elbows and bring your elbows on top of your wrists. So the tops of your shoulders come to the tips of your fingers. You're not doing anything else. You're not trying to lift your legs. You're just letting your butt lift and bringing your chest forward. Elbows on top of your wrists. Elbows need to be bent. Elbows bent. More, Dana. That's it. And then move your weight forward, lift your butt, and then look forward at the tips of your fingers. So Joy, butt a little higher. Joanne, butt a little higher. Yeah, I want you to really feel that you hold there, right? Elbows bent, butt higher, Mark. That's it. And then look forward at the tips of your fingers. Good. Start to pull your ribs in and up. Press into your hands, but pull your arm bones up into your shoulders. Keep your elbows bent, but pull up through your arm bones. I know. One more breath. Don't give up. And then slowly release it. Step on down off the block. Oh my God. Yeah. So you really want to get very, very good at crow is don't just keep throwing yourself into the pose and falling, right? Do this because the real practice is being able to find that balance point where your hips are up on top of your shoulders and your shoulders are balanced on those arms. If your arms are not bent at this 90-degree angle, right? This is what I'm talking about. Is that you have to have this 90-degree angle between the elbow and the wrist and your shoulder. If you're forward or you're back this way, which is most of us, right? We hang out with this angle. There's no balance that's happening, right? You have to come forward enough that you create that 90-degree angle, right? And that feels foreign to us because it's the point where you could fall. When you feel it, you're like, oh my God, I could fall here. That's what you want, is to go to that point and hold. Right? Because that trains the muscles to say, oh, you want me to hold here? What do I have to do to hold here and not fall? Then you can add the legs, right? So let's try it one more time with just the arms. So come back up onto your block. And even just this is great balance for your ankles. It's great for the lower body. So your little frog squat on your block, heels hanging off, knees wide. And again, hands coming flat to the floor. You cannot do an arm balance without your hands either flat on the floor or one of those little wedge things underneath your hands so that you've got a solid position, right? So hands flat on the floor. You're bending your elbows like that chaturanga push-up. Your elbows have to stay bent. Lean forward, lifting your butt up as you bring the tops of your shoulders towards the tips of your fingers. Butt goes up. And then pause there with your elbows in line with your wrists. So Sarah, you got to come forward a little bit more. Dina, you're perfect right there. Mark, just point your elbows to face back. Nice, Dana, you're good. Awesome, you guys. Hold there. Pull up through your low ribs. Feel your arm bones pulling up into your center of your back. Look at the tips of your fingers. If you look down and behind you, your weight's going to go down. Look slightly forward. Round your back. And now maybe feel like you get a little lighter on your toes. So you feel the knees, maybe touch the upper arms and squeeze in. Again, their weight's not going down. You're squeezing in like you're trying to pull your knees up into your armpits. And then go ahead and release it. Come on down. I know. You should feel like when you're done, oh my gosh. Come on down, take a break, stretch the legs out in front of you. Oh. Yeah. Take your hands back behind you, fingers pointing. Yeah, you feel it in your midriff, right? Yeah, you should feel it in your midriff because again, what's holding you in the pose, the energy that's really holding you up is not your arms. What holds you up is your core and your legs, right? The arms just happen to be what's touching the ground. So walk your hands back behind you, please, with your fingers pointing back. Arms straight. You can take your hands as wide as you want, and then just scoot your butt forward until you feel what feels like a lovely stretch on your shoulders and back. So keep scooting your butt forward away from your wrists, arms stretching back behind you. If you've never done this before, you're welcome. Chest up, right? Open, open, open. It is a lot of work. That's the thing. Arm balancing is a lot of work, but it's not work only on the arms. So it's my least favorite thing when we don't get taught the architecture of arm balances, and then we're asked to do it, and we think that when we can't do it, that it's because we're not strong enough. Bullshit, right? It's not about strength. It's about architecture, right? It's about understanding the dynamics of balance and weight distribution, muscle awareness. That's it. Once you know that, then you can find that in yourself. If you don't know it, then you're just throwing yourself into the pose and falling. which is lovely. We need to know how to fall. But we also need to know where there is balance, what is too much and what is too little. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. All right, we're gonna give it another go. And this time, if you feel you want to start to take one knee or both towards the upper arms into the full balance, I'm gonna talk you through it, right? But if you're just working at finding that shoulder stability today, then that's where you're gonna stay. You're just gonna keep working with that. But the option is that we're gonna start talking a little bit more legs, right? So again, the block is a tool. If the block is if you feel like the block is not helping you, you do not have to use it. You can do all of these same things without the block, right? But the block gives you a little extra lift, right? So hands to the floor as wide as you would for downward facing dog. Good. And as you start to bend your elbows, you got to maintain that. Lean forward, tops of your shoulders towards the tips of your fingers. Good. Pull the upper arm bones into the shoulders. Start to pull your low rib cage in, look forward. Don't let your gaze waver. Elbows over the wrists. And then as you continue to round through your back, like you're in cat, right? You're drawing your knees towards the upper arms. You can do one knee at a time and lift that foot off of the block. Just hovering there, same way you did when you were doing that from down dog. You pull it in and you squeeze. You got it?
Yeah.
And then you let the foot go and try the other side. So you're just bringing the knee up high onto the upper shelf of the arm. Good, and just pause and squeeze. Nice, and then let it go. And then if you're going for both feet, it's a double squeeze, right? Hug those knees towards the upper arms, up into the armpits. Squeeze into that low belly, curl up. Your butt's going to the sky. Butt to the sky, push into the floor to pull your chest up and wide. Don't focus on the feet, focus on your chest. Gaze forward. Really nice. Keep practicing. Keep letting yourself come in and come out, come in and come out, and breathe. As you're coming into the balance, breathe. Nice. Squeeze those heels up in towards your butt, Dina. You got it. Good. Nice, Sarah. Nice, Mark. You're right there. Got to come forward a tiny bit more, Dana. Yeah, take your hands wide, take your hands wider, and you got to come forward about half an inch. Awesome, you guys. Come on down, take a break. Okay, good. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you again. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Paschimottanasana, bow forward. Be as loud as you want with your exhales. Oh. Okay. So in my mind, it is not important if today or any day you successfully came into crow. What matters to me is that you have a sense of what you're looking for. You have an idea of the principles that need to be there. And if you know, you're like, oh, it feels like my legs are a little weak. Practice that, right? You practice building strength in the inner thighs and flexibility in the hips. Or if it feels like, oh, my shoulders don't feel comfortable in that position of the 90-degree angle of my arms, and you practice chaturanga push-ups, you practice the preparation and say, where do I have to open my upper back to make this possible? Right? This is the point of yoga, is that we practice being in our bodies. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Bend your knees, plant your feet, take your hands back behind you again, fingers pointing towards the heels, towards your butt. Bend your knees, plant your feet. Lift up into reverse table, so there should be a little space between your feet, hips to the sky. Good. Same sort of thing. Push into the floor. Feel your chest lift. Draw those shoulders together towards the back. Beautiful. Good. And then release the hips down to the floor, please. Nice job. Scoot forward, or if you're in the room, turn around so that your head space center of the room. Come on down onto your backs for a moment. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Because I like to give you lots of opportunities for ways you can practice crow, right? If you are preparing for it. So draw your knees in towards your chest for a moment. Good. Take your knees wide into happy baby, reaching for the ankles or the feet. Just think, once you master crow, there's revolved crow and there's flying pigeon, as they call it. There's dragonfly and firefly. Going to joke and say horsefly. There's no horsefly place that I know of. Or mosquito, which is shocking, right? No mosquito pose. Good. So in your happy baby position, Keep your legs where they are, but release your feet. Good. And now engage the legs. So draw your knees towards the outer armpits here. So keep your low back anchored to the floor, but start to draw your knees down and in. Flex your feet. And again, you're hugging slightly in. Good. And then take your arms straight up towards the sky. And then start to curl your shoulders up off the floor like you're reaching your hands between your legs. Good. And you can press those upper arms into your inner knees. Yep. And then use your knees to squeeze into your upper arms. And now you're still curled into your belly, but pull your arm bones back and in. Good. So you're not holding your feet. You're just reaching straight forward. It's like you're doing crow on your back. So you're pulling your knees up towards your armpits and reaching between the legs. Reach forward and press wide with the arms, squeeze in with the knees. So arms wider, Mark. That's it. Good. And then slowly release. Good. If you did all of that in your neck, it probably didn't feel very good, right? So you remember, it's got to work from the abdominals. It's got to work from the back. Hug the knees in. Good. And then let your knees drop to the right, please. Spinal twist. Stretch that left arm out wide to the left. Good. Arm can also come up over the ear if reaching out to the side does not feel good for the shoulder. And then bring your knees back to center, please. Bring them over to the left, twist the other way. Even if you never fully balance in an arm balance, to be able to work with the architecture of your body, the foundation, the principles. Because that's big, because this will do a lot for the posture of your life, the way that you stand, the way that you sit. Right? And awareness of how your arms and your legs work with the core of your body. Having the core of your body working at all. Big one in these days. That's the benefit of yoga, is that we become skillful at using our body and our mind so that it is a vessel for the energy of the soul. Nothing in the way. Becomes effortless to live your life completely. Come back to center, please. Hug the knees in. And then the reason why I suggested 2 blocks today is I wanted at some point, it looks like we're going to end with it, is to do a modified fish pose. Sometimes in yin, you would call it heart bench. So either one of those that makes sense to you. So the blocks setup is, the first block is going, I like it horizontal across the lower shoulder blades, so right about bra strap level or the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. Some people prefer it vertical along their spine in the same place behind the heart. So either one. The second block is slightly higher this way, so your head is resting on the second block. Right? So first block is underneath the backs of the shoulder blades behind the heart. Second block is higher, head resting on the block. Good. Butt is on the floor. Good. And you could do this differently. Again, there's all sorts of thoughts about the second block can be lower if it really needs to be, if you want to stretch the throat. I find the most easeful position is to have the second block underneath the head higher than the block underneath your shoulders. And then the legs can be in whatever position you'd like. They can be straight, they can be in Bakasana. And find yourself just breathing deeply. I will cue you coming out of this pose, but if you feel that you need to come out of it before I do, feel free to rearrange yourself as necessary. And practice again that sensation of allowing the breath to come in and to allow it to fall. The exhale is the fall. You are welcome to stay here if this feels like it's still a easeful and comfortable place to be. If you are ready to transition into a full Shavasana, feel free to bend the knees. Use your hands to lift yourself away from the blocks. Place the blocks to the side, coming all the way down onto the back. Maybe taking a full body stretch if you are transitioning. So arms up overhead for a breath, reaching through whole length of the body, through the hands, all the way down to the feet. And then as you release, you let the feet drop open, the arms come alongside you, palms up. And you let yourself be the one who rides on the breath. Your awareness rides on the breath. Like a bird in flight, you ride on the breath, effortless. Very gently let the breath get longer, get deeper. Let the body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. Take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. And even here, can you have an awareness of your chest lifting and widening? Your arm bones drawing back and in, and that space behind the heart being one that's not collapsing forward, but that is connected. Shoulders to back, back to chest. Heart to mind, mind to body. All of it to the soul. So you may feel this tomorrow. You probably will. I hope you do. Because it is true that when we practice something very dedicated, especially something that requires us to use strength we don't usually access, is that we always grip too hard. We use muscles more aggressively than necessary. We try too hard, right? We give too much. But through practice, we learn to get past that point where we're so scared of falling that we do too much. And we start to find how we can let go And a pose that used to feel like it was so much effort starts to become floating. Right? We allow ourselves to rise up from within. And the pose becomes something that is graceful, exhilarating, like a bird in flight. And that's the beauty of crow, is that we learn the discipline of it, the fundamentals of it. And it allows us to live in a state that is more effortless than what we could have imagined. And this is what yoga does for us. It gives us the foundation to live in that fullness of the bliss that is the soul. You can't trade one or the other. They're found intertwined. So all you're learning is what is too much and what is too little. And being in the center of that, the middle of that, the balance of that is effortless. We'll close with the sound of Om, deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week until I see you again. I feel like there was something I was supposed to tell you, but I can't remember what it is. Live music tonight, that's what it is. Starts at 8 o'clock, so used to be 7:30, 8 o'clock, the poets and
Music, mantra, and more.
Music, mantra, and more. That's what it's being called. Sorry. So if you are available, again, it's in studio only. So you have to scoot yourself over here, but that's at 8 o'clock this tonight and every Thursday night. So if you can't make tonight, there's many other Thursdays in your future. So keep your eyes open for that and other fun stuff coming up for the summer. We love you. See you soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.